Good evening, everyone. I am here. A few minutes late, but I don't think nothing too serious. And I'm just kind of going to make sure I got everything set up here real fast. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was having some issues with my headphones earlier, and I do want to... Okay, there we go. Now we're good. So, yeah, it's kind of going to be not a short week. I still have, I think, 14 this week. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, there's 14 releases this week. However, as I said in the description, I think only 4 of them are actually albums. So the vast majority are EPs, which typically I don't spend as much time on EPs. EPs are a little bit more rapid fire. And I'm just going to kind of get into it. I mean, again, realistically, I had a busy week, but so I just figured I would go back and hit some of the EPs that I hadn't really spent much time with, because EPs are a lot easier to get through, right? It's like 20 minutes maximum, and you're on your way. So, and honestly, EPs a lot of the times are really solid releases, just because when you have 4 or 5 songs that you're honing down and really crafting and perfecting, then it's easier to put out a very solid release. So yeah, we're going to start out with the electronic music. We've got 3 releases there. We're going to get into rock and metal, which is where the vast majority, there are 7 releases in rock and metal. Then I have a release that's kind of an other. It doesn't really fit into the typical categories. We've had a few of those in August, so that's kind of good. It's nice. And then we're going to end with pop and indie. And I should just sort of clarify that this is basically all pop for the most part. In fact, the first 2, which are EPs, are also maybe a bit of a stretch, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Let me just go ahead and get us started here. Let me also make sure I've got everything set up as I want it. Okay, I don't need my notes open here because I've got them open on my laptop. So, all right, let me go ahead and squeeze that over. Okay, so the first, and we're going to start with an album, because in terms of electronic music, even though I try to put albums ahead of EPs, I do think that by and large, the release here, while it is good, that's why we're talking about it, I still enjoy the EPs more. So the first album we're going to talk about is the album Human Body Detected, and the artist is Club Director. There's a whole history with this artist, but it's not really that important. Music-wise, this is the dark trance. It's the type of music you would expect to be playing in one of those club scenes from The Matrix, or really any other edgy early 2000s film with way too much leather. At the same time, there is a solid vein of electro-psychedelic. There's lots of long, meandering, reverbed guitars throughout the tracks. I saw somebody describe it as cosmic krautrock, which is fair. It does have moments that are like this. It's the type of music I wouldn't normally feature, because in a lot of times it is sort of bland and monotonous. I don't want to feel like I'm underselling it here, but there is something to it, right? If the psych elements weren't in there, then it probably would be bland and monotonous. If it was just the psych elements without the other dark sort of early 2000s trance music, it would also be kind of dull and monotonous. But together, they augment each other just a little bit. So yeah, let me just go ahead and pop a little bit up here, and you'll get the idea. So, I mean, you kind of get, that sound. But there's that, right, that heavy reverb, kind of psychedelic guitar line just sort of drifting in there. Like there's something to it. It honestly feels like it should be building to something bigger than it does actually build to, but and aesthetically it does have that sort of early 2000s, 90s, early 2000s vibes, like early 2000s, realistically late 90s. So, I mean, again, this is definitely not something that you're gonna sit and listen to for, well, I think most people wouldn't, but there is something to it. The combination of those two, what you might consider disparate styles, but which somehow kind of work together, so. And I will be honest, dude, the guitar is not present on every single track. Some of them are just more of that dark trance. But even on them, there is still, it feels like a little bit more of the guitar influence, at least heard through the music. The guy the club director, artist, he is actually connected. He's not like an electronic producer only. He is actually connected to regular, this is a side project of a different artist, so yeah, something a little bit different, but I felt that it was, honestly, it was kind of a refreshing listen, something that normally I don't come across, or that I don't really spend that much time with. So yeah, that is the album Human Body Detected, and that's Club Director. For if you're looking for something a little bit, if you got like maybe a leather trench coat that you want to wear around, and you need something in your headphones to kind of go along with it. But next up, we have the Is This Reality EP, and I'm assuming the pronunciation is Colau. So most of us aren't really ready to see summer end just yet, so we have 4 tracks right here, very light, summery house music, and it might just be the musical prescription, if you will, to help stave off the autumnal funk that so many of us experience, especially if you are here in Russia. I know we kind of have nice weather coming around now, but for the last few weeks, it has felt like autumn is already here, and music like this kind of helps, I don't know, mentally put you in a different state of mind. I love the album artwork too. Just fantastic. It's actually, I have noticed that, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago too, that there was another house release, and in the first half of the year, there weren't that many, and I can't really think of hardly any house releases, so maybe it is a late summer thing. Very light, bouncy. Got those airy vocals. I don't know what the sample's from either, but it works like wonderfully. So, I mean, light, fresh, and funky. But the French robots, there definitely is a little bit of some Daft Punk energy too. It's probably why it's called the French robots. So yeah, again, you just want something light and bouncy and energetic and good vibes, then I mean, then this is a pretty solid choice. It's really not a bad track on there. I mean, there's only 4 of them, so like I said, it's kind of hard to go wrong when you have such a limited number of tracks to choose from as an artist. So I guess I can hit like another. Yeah, kind of an 80s vibe, definitely. But I think that's, the 80s vibe is also not uncommon a lot of times in the house scene. And I think it's probably becoming more common too as it becomes more of a nostalgia trip. But yeah, there definitely is an 80s sound here. So yeah, anyway. EP is This Reality, and the artist is Colau. So just, yeah, kind of some nice, funky, bouncy little end of summer house music there. And the final electronic release, kind of an odd one. I guess it is electronic. That's how I'm going to... it's Shimmer. Shimmer is the name of the EP, and there are 2 artists here. There's JIPIE and KITee, is how I'm pronouncing those names. It's an interesting release for 2 reasons. First of all, it's the same 3 tracks repeated, Mayak, Рассвет, Shimmer, but then there are the instrumental versions. So the 3 tracks, the EP is the product of an MC and a producer, where the former, the MC, clearly demands your attention when he's on the tracks in the non-instrumental versions, but the producer definitely got his way by including the instrumental tracks on this release. And I'm glad he did, because they stand alone really, really well as instrumental tracks, but with the vocal accompaniment, it's interesting because the vocalist, the MC, JIPIE, demands your attention just very clearly when he's on the track, but then when he's removed from it, you really can kind of dig into the instrumental aspect here. Lyrically, it's about searching for yourself, changing something in your life to move forward. Yeah, I was not expecting this. I wasn't even really sure where to put this. You could maybe classify it as hip hop, but I'm gonna kind of put it into the electronic stuff because it definitely has a lot of the dub energy. Like as soon as he comes in on the track, you are drawn to the vocals, even if you don't really understand what's going on. Because of just the inflection that he's putting into his delivery. And I'll be honest, the first time I listened to this, the vocals did, I don't know, they like struck me odd, but I gave it a listen to a second time around and I realized that it is like, it's a very unusual delivery, but so you're really like kind of there floating along on top of the instrumental, like, which fits with the the visual with the lighthouse and being on the seaside. But if you just kick the instrumental over, you're down in the depths of the track, if you will. So that's one of the nice things about this release, and I really do like it when artists include that, where they include an instrumental version of their tracks, because in a lot of situations you get two different experiences with it. And I think this is another one of those examples. Because instrumentally, there's just a lot of really interesting stuff going on here. It's kind of dub and trip hop music. Right? Again, when you've got the vocalist on the track, he's got your attention. But if you start to ignore him, or if you just turn on the instrumental track, you hear how much is going on in the background also. So yeah, even if not a huge fan of the sort of rap, the vocal elements of these tracks, you can always just turn on the instrumental versions of them and get these really dub heavy trip hop style instrumentals, which are really well produced. I have not heard of either of these. These are from, I think the duo, or the two artists are from Novorossiysk down in the south of Russia. But yeah, I don't know. It was for such an odd little, kind of 3 tracks. Really, it's effectively 3 tracks, but you get to experience them. That's all right. End of story. Good to have you. Even though it's just 3 tracks, because you get 2 different takes of them, it does kind of allow you to listen to them twice, but get the full effect. So yeah, I don't know. Is it electronic music? Well, when you take the rap out of it, it definitely is. We don't really have any rap this week either, so whatever. It's just kind of hanging out here. So the EP is Shimmer, and the artists are JIPIE and KITee, who are 2 artists that I should probably look into more in the future. But as you can see, KITee does not have any other releases, and JIPIE, I guess there's a few things there, so a little bit more. But anyway, that is it for electronic music. And we are moving on then to rock and metal. I'm just going to be completely honest, we have a lot of EPs, basically all EPs except for the final one. So we're going to move through it kind of fast here. Up first, we have Tokara Forest, which is the EP from SnowManBall. We actually saw SnowManBall. They released a full length in the first quarter. Actually had it on my list of honorable mentions when it came to rock and metal. I was calling it ravecore back then. I've seen it described all over the place on Contactia as electronic core, which I hate the sound of, so I'm going to continue calling it ravecore. This is a hyperactive crew out of Kazan, and nothing has changed. So if you enjoyed the sound the first time around, then you'll enjoy it again here. It's yeah. It's a little bit like Electric Callboy. If you're familiar with Electric Callboy. They kind of have the metalcore breakdowns, but then they also have these really light and airy, old school Euro techno sections, which there is something very endearing to this sound. Like I said when I reviewed their their full length earlier this year, I can't imagine listening to this nonstop all the time, like it is with a lot of these releases that I come across when I'm doing this. But I don't know, it's nice to have these oddballs that kind of, I don't know, they're just oddballs, but in a good way. And, a song like the 90s is definitely going to lean into that. Yeah, I was actually thinking about the Anushka that you mentioned in the comments, so I think we'll go ahead and do that. Lyrically, there are musical references to 90s pop music here. I cannot remember the name of the song, but so yeah, anyway, that is SnowManBall. It's the same sound that they were doing before, but we have 3 new tracks here from them, and the EP is Tokara Forest. Still going with the anime energy there as well, so that has not changed. Moving up and moving on, we have this EP. I love the artwork here. The artwork here is just so understated, no text, nothing. The fantastic album artwork. There's not even a question there. The artist is Blaze to Raise, and hold on. I want to make sure I get the pronunciation right here. The EP is called Otголоски. That's what I thought, but Отголоски is the EP here, and the artist is Blaze to Raise. This is alt metal. At times, new metal. At other times, it just feels like an updated take on the Russian metal sound from about 20 years, but with slightly more of modern metalcore aesthetics in there. So that doesn't just jump into it. Got quite a bit of the new metal vibe here. And I like so like especially in the guitars, feels a lot like the kind of alt metal or alt rock sound of the early 2000s. But there is something about the vocal delivery that reminds me, and I can't think of which groups in particular, but of Russian metal groups from the early 2000s as well. Kind of like jump into the this is definitely one of the more radio-friendly tracks, so. Again, I should go back and look through my old Russian music collection, because I'm sure I would recognize the maybe Slot, maybe a little bit. I don't know. I should go back and re-listen to some of those old. When I was studying here, I used to buy those cheap discs, like music CDs and the MP3 CDs in the подземные переходы. When like you were crossing the streets, they would have the little kiosks in all of them, and you would sell musical CDs for 200 rubles, 300 rubles maybe for an MP3 disc. So I just would buy random, like, metal-looking Russian groups. So yeah, Отголоски by the EP by the group Blaze to Raise reminds me a lot of that. Reminds me a lot of those kind of first Russian metal groups that I was discovering way back in the day and who I've kind of forgotten, but they still are cluttering around the back of my mind somewhere. But also there is a lot of that just traditional, what we would think of in the States as alt rock or alt metal, new metal sound from the early 2000s as well. So yeah. Okay, now we're getting into something that is a little bit more straightforward. Пробуждение is the name of the EP, and the group is Keep Back. Oi, oi, oi. Metallic hardcore. The sound which I most associate with Hatebreed. But there is a wave of new artists nowadays, 2024, 2025, obviously even a little bit before then. Code Orange, Knocked Loose, who I've mentioned many times as well. I think Knocked Loose is, in terms of hardcore, probably in some ways maybe the biggest name right now, at least commercially and when it comes to praise from various critics. But yeah, this is definitely more of that old school Hatebreed vibe, and I'm all for it. I loved Hatebreed. I still love Hatebreed. It's no Jamie Josta, but it's got that. Imagine just like the circle pit getting ready. Also, I don't know what's going on with the artwork here. It's cool. Giant spiders. There we go. Gotta like get the speed up, right? Get the pit moving. So, again, if you're familiar with Hatebreed, and I swear to God, I don't like Hatebreed. In my experience, has a really big following in the metal community here in Russia. It's probably because Hatebreed, back in the day, I saw Hatebreed here in Moscow. I mean, I saw them in the States too, but like, those guys did a number of concert tours over here. Probably just Moscow and St. Petersburg. Still, they came regularly, and I feel like that won them some crowd following. So yeah. I mean, yeah, if you like that melodic hardcore sound. It's not reinventing the wheel, but like, that's okay. There are musical sounds that have existed for decades now that, they get kind of rediscovered every once in a while. So yeah, it's metallic hardcore, Hatebreed. Again, I hear it, I think of Hatebreed. That's just the sound. That's the association I'm always going to have with that sound. And like I said, I think a lot of people here in Russia, particularly, for them, that is a familiar sound. And realistically, for a lot of people in the States, Hatebreed kind of massively popularized that sound in a lot of ways. So yes, the group is Keep Back, and the EP is called Пробуждение. Let's move on. Next, we have the EP Король, падёт, and the artist is Warbeat. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time describing this. This is just like fast and ferocious hardcore punk out of St. Petersburg. That's all there is to say. And I do love when they clearly hired like some artist to do the album artwork. I always love to like track down the artists too and take a look at their other sketches and pictures. it's hardcore punk. It's really like, you know, there's not a lot to say about it. Just gonna give you a little bit of taste of it. So it's like it's a 4-track EP too. So if I play bits and pieces of 2 of the songs, you've got a pretty good idea of what it is. End of story when you say it hasn't been very common in recent years. Covers. Oh yeah, with artwork. Yeah. I think with artists and album artwork, and so what I've noticed online, especially in the metal community, God bless them for that, is that when they see AI artwork, the metal community just collectively takes a walk. It's like they just walk away from that. And I have seen it time and time again in comments where, like, the minute artists start using AI artwork with their, even just their album covers, they are just like, nope. Now, if it's some no-name project out of somebody's bedroom in the middle of, like, I don't know, like Ufa or somewhere like that, right? Then they're a little bit more forgiving. But when you have groups that are, you know, have been doing this for a while, even if it's a small no-name group, it's still kind of expected that they can find somebody to pay, like, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 rubles to draw them a picture, right? Like, at least something minimalistic. So, yeah, the influx of AI album artwork is kind of a bit of a problem, but I feel like at least with the metal community, they've done a pretty good job of keeping up. But anyway, that is the EP Король, падёт, and the artist is Warbeat. And I love the skeletons here. They're like having, I mean, like, obviously the king skeleton, not so much, but this guy over here holding the axe, he's just having a good, I mean, he's a little shocked, but they look like they're having a good time, even though they're skeletons. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell the emotions of a skeleton. I'm going to be completely honest. Probably should not claim that I am able to do so. All right. And then we are on to the next one. This is the group Serpent Sermon, and I'm going to assume the correct pronunciation is Moroy. Although if it's on Moroj, I don't know. I didn't even bother to look up what this means. I'm just gonna do it right now. It is a type of fish. What? No, that's got to be something else. I don't know. Anyway, Moroy is what I'm going with, unless I get corrected. But Serpent Sermon, this is a group that released a very good album last year, connected to, I want to say, Middle Eastern mythology, things connected to, like, genies and things of that nature. But when I listened to their album, and I remember talking about it or making notes about it, the sound was a little bit raw and in kind of the same thing over and over again. They have refined their sound a little bit. It is improved. The songs here are all focused on dark folklore from the Balkans, and then that is accompanied with the group's sound, which is blackened mellow death. So again, like, love all of the adjectives, right? Blackened, melodic, death metal. But they say just blackened death metal that embodies the fury of primordial chaos, the roar of chthonic monsters in primal darkness. Yeah, okay. I mean, like, cool guys. But sound-wise, like I said, it feels a lot cleaner and it's a lot more engaging than their full length last year. I will just, like, be straight up about that. So that's good. progress. Морой is Serpent. Okay. Like, this is good. Ah! No. Hold up. I found out what Moroy means. It is not connected to that. Moroy is a Hungarian vampire or ghost in their folklore. So, Moroy is actually connected because it is Balkan folklore. So this is named after, one of the tracks is named after it. It is named after the, evidently there's a game for it too, but yeah. Type of vampire or ghost in Hungarian and Romanian folklore. So now we know. There's a special type of vampiric ghosts in Hungary and Romania. Which, why wouldn't there be? This is the home of Dracula, right? So. Oh, I get it. No. Yeah, I know what sermon means. End of story. Thank you. I was lost on the word Moroy. I thought it was a Russian word. I did the translation. I just got a type of fish. I don't know, there's something here. It's... Like I said, I enjoyed their album last year, was not blown away. This EP, I'll be completely honest, I had kind of forgotten about Serpent Sermon. When I saw this EP, it's like, the name sounds familiar, and I went back and I looked at their other releases. I was like, oh, I've heard them before. This is improvement, musically. It is more dynamic. There's more skill in the writing and in the playing, in the way that the songs are structured and everything here too. So I don't know. It's good. It's good blackened melodic death metal. So yeah, that is the EP Moroy, which is, as we all know now, we have learned something new today. Yeah, the vocals actually do work really well with it, but we have learned now too that the word Moroy is a vampiric ghost or a ghost or a vampire from the Balkans. And yeah, the group is Serpent Sermon. And again, too, they've got the album artwork here, which is clearly done by an actual human being. So, and it fits with the overall theme. So, all right. I have not discovered the tab limit. All right. Now, God help me with the pronunciation here. I think I'm still probably going to screw it up. But the EP here is Принцип, синхронизации. Синхронизации. I guess even in English, it's kind of a synchronous. No, it's easier for me in English. Принцип синхронизации, and the group is Когнитивные искажения. Just words that I typically do not ever. Принцип, I guess, is okay, but yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this because this is a really, really good EP. This is noisy, atonal, post-hardcore. and it is from a trio out of Taliatia, which I don't think we've had any Taliatia groups. I might be mistaken, but this might be the first Taliatia group, so that's cool. The skill and the tightness with which these guys play belies the fact that this is their second EP, but the way that it sounds, it feels like these guys have just been making music for over a decade. These they feel like vets and like veterans of the music industry at this point in time. There are not many groups, or at least not anymore, in 2025 that make rock music like this, and the ones that do can't often pull it off. So, yeah. Again, it's post-hardcore, it's noise rock. I don't really know how best to describe it other than just listen to it. Like, at times it has that sort of clutch, or I'm just blanking right now. Right, it's got the atonal, noisy as hell, time signatures are jumping all over the place. Like, this is not simple music by any means. Yeah, принцип вообще просто, а дальше вот просто хуже. Vocally, you got the post-hardcore in there too, 100%. Prong was the group I was trying to think of. This Prong, Clutch. It's just like, it's all over the place. There was an explanation too as to the album artwork. I'm not a mechanical guy at all, so I think this is a transmission, and they were talking about like how all of the parts have to work together for the transmission to actually work, and how as a group they all have to work together. So, like, which as you're listening to this, you can probably, drums are doing one thing, guitars over here. Everybody feels like they're kind of doing their own thing, but it's got a little bit of that math rock energy as well too. Yeah, I don't know. When I saw the album artwork, I was definitely not expecting this, and I had listened to the first 20 seconds of the opening track a few times, and just, not that I wasn't interested, I just was like, I'm not ready for this right now. And I saw it get mentioned on different communities and blogs, this post again and again. It's like, all right, fine, like, I have to check this out. Just don't. It's not quite big black. Not really all that big black at all, but it does have that noisy aspect to it. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's, well, post-hardcore in general is just less hardcore, right? That's the whole idea of like the post is takes a lot of the hardcore elements, but then just kind of throws them out the window. At least in terms of song structure. Right? Obviously, when I think of post-hardcore, I think of groups like Glass Drop. I don't know. I was blown away by this EP. I think it's really good. I be excited if they come out with a full length here. So yeah, I enjoy all this. I don't have the final track favorited, but that's just because it's like relatively short. I mean, they're all relatively short, but anyway, really good stuff. That last, the XiE XiE XiE, that track does have a lot of the stoner, not a lot, but yeah, there's definitely some of that stoner rock vibe in there as well too. So there's just musically, in terms of the ideas and the sounds that are being mixed in there, there's just a lot going on. But kind of like the mechanism that they have there, if you look at all the parts separately, you don't really understand how it's going to fit together and work. But when it does fit together, it just works like a mechanism. So here we go again. The EP is Принцип синхронизации, and the group is Когнитивные искажения. I just had to warm up a little bit. That was it. Honestly, I was going to give them the top pick for rock and metal. Really was. But later this afternoon, as I was putting everything together, as often happens, I was listening to some more music, and I found a full-length album, and I do have to give priority to full-length albums in a lot of situations, and I still think that this full-length is definitely is worth it. So, hey, you're actually going to make me hit the reload button. Oh, Spotify, what are you doing? We have the album Время, сможет спасти меня, and the group is КОНТРОЛЬ. Love the album artwork here too. Very simple. Does not really fit with what's going on, but it's okay. It's just like a cat coming in the window. That's okay too. I love that. This is probably the best sort of emo pop punk release of it is the best emo / pop punk release of the month, maybe of the summer. I don't know. It's definitely one of the best sort of emo pop punk. I keep saying emo pop punk because that's really the split of the energy. There are tracks on this album that feel very much like that kind of. And when I say emo, I should clarify that it is the early 2000s emo groups like Hawthorne Heights or Senses Fail. So anybody who's a little bit older out there who remembers that wave of kind of pop emo bands from the early 2000s, then that's the energy that we're getting here. Obviously, there's a little bit of the Midwest emo sound as well, because where would we be in 2025 without just a dash of that? Yeah, music's super energetic, but the lyrics and their delivery tends towards the more melancholic side, even if the guitars will be running alongside them with a sort of rebellious devil-may-care attitude. It's just, you'll know the sound when I put it on. That's typically how it goes. Right? That pop punk energy. But now we kind of transition into something that's a bit more emo, right? So there's this back and forth with the sounds. Control right now is also getting, at least in certain circles, certain limited circles, I should clarify that, because, like, let's be real, the music industry is so smashed into a million different pieces due to the internet. But in certain circles, specifically this type of sound of circles. Control right now is getting a bit of a boost, and it partly has to do with this song right here, Лучше чем вчера, and it's mainly because they were Birdbone. Birdbone is also like a rising star in the Russian emo scene. They haven't put anything out this year, but last year they put out a really strong release. So their inclusion on this album, this song was actually released as a single back in the spring, if I remember correctly, and definitely was, you know, a good amount of discussion about it, mainly because Birdbone was on it, but then by default people were like, huh, who's this other group with Birdbone? And they were like, okay, maybe we'll have to check them out. Right, like again, now we're on like the pop punk energy. So just that constant back and forth, it's, I don't know, it works out. Well, what's interesting is that I think this music is still like happening in the States too. It's happening in the same way that it is in Russia, like on these lower, not lower, but like kind of underground scenes, because mainstream music in Russia is obviously much different than this, right? And mainstream music in the States is much different from the vast majority of artists that people might actually be listening to. It's like when you get into Spotify and sites like that. Well, no, it is true though. I do think the one thing that's kind of interesting about the music scene in Russia is it does feel like certain, which it also makes sense that certain. I kind of jumped to another one with another guess on it. The thing that's interesting about the Russian music scene is that the nostalgia, or like the specific sounds that artists here go back to pull from when they're looking for inspiration are slightly different than they are going to be in the States for various reasons. But it's not to say that they're going back necessarily and pulling from old Russian artists. They do that at sometimes. But one of the things that I've noticed, like for example, I've noticed a ton last year and this year, is that Crystal Castles is just a huge influence. And I'm sure that there are a lot of artists in the States right now who are also like leaning heavily into the Crystal Castle sound. There's no escaping that. But I noticed this, 15 years ago as well too. I always felt like Crystal Castles had a way heavier like fan base here than they did in a lot of places in the States, which is fine. So some of the revival sounds that you encounter here in Russia are going to be different from the revival sounds that you encounter in Europe or in the States for various reasons, because different bands were popular or different sounds were popular. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and it'll be interesting to see, for example, in 15 years, if the K-pop sound of today or 5 to 10 years ago will have an influence on world music as a whole, because that also has been a huge. It's just been huge. So, but yeah, getting back to this, right? I don't know. There's just maybe it's the end of summer thing. Maybe it's that sort of saying goodbye to the youthful part of the year. But there's something that just hits about this, and I don't think it is just specifically connected to the time of the year. I think musically there is something really good going on here. that is the album Время, сможет спасти меня, and the group is КОНТРОЛЬ. And that is my top pick for rock and metal for the week. And then to address the comment, K-pop death metal, we kind of already have that. We have baby metal from Japan, which isn't quite death metal and it's not quite K-pop, but it's close. So, all right, moving on. We are going to rediscover the tab limit. This. I'm also gonna check the. Надо проверить, где вот это ударение. Because it's actually a French. Okay, it's a French word, so there is no good. The artist is Kabul, and the album, I'm just going to say Burime. Burime. It's actually, I had to look up what Burime means. It's connected to some experimental type of poetry, French poetry. Not just French, I mean, the English were doing it as well, too, where somebody would give a poet a series of words, like a rhyme scheme, but it was just the final words of the rhyme scheme, and then the poet would have to write a poem that made sense around the words that they had been given. So I did not know about that. So again, we learned about Hungarian ghost vampires, and now we've learned about French slam poetry of like the 18th century or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, it's an album. We don't get a lot of releases like this. In fact, we've maybe had one or two that are in the same sort of vein so far this year. So obviously when I heard this, I'm just like, yeah, I got to talk about this. This is that kind of new jazz, acid jazz, trip hop. I don't really know how to classify this. It's very funky and lively at times. Also got like some very quaint album artwork. Very funky and lively at times, and then other times it's very, very musically simplistic and introspective. There's a lot of electronic elements that mesh well into the sound, or they mesh well with the traditional jazz instruments. It is supposed to be these sort of musical pictures of life in the city. The artists are from St. Petersburg too, so take that into consideration. I'm just going to go ahead and play it a little bit. I think you'll get the sound that I'm talking about here. So, quite jazzy. I mean, it is just jazzy. But just the way that it's put together, it does have a lot of the trip hop energy. Like, this horn line, it's a little bit too energetic for Portishead, but a lot of these elements do feel like they could have been ripped from one of the early trip-hop albums. It's just that bass line is a little bit too energetic for that, so the mixing of everything. But so yeah, is it jazz? Yeah. Is it that sort of like lo-fi, hip-hop, trip-hop beats to study to? Yeah. I don't really know what it is. I mean, I'm going to consider it sort of, new age jazz, experimental jazz, like whatever. But it's... Then you have tracks like this, where it feels like some left field electronic music, right? With field recordings and almost bits of industrial noise. So it's definitely an experimental album at times as well. But for the most part, it's a jazz album. And I'm, you know, but it's just it's a futuristic jazz album, I guess is what we'll call it. And I guess new jazz exists, but it's good. We don't get a lot of jazz albums. Let's be real. I'm not like a jazz expert at all, but I mean, this is a nice album. It's a nice listen. There's just a lot of fun tracks on here, and even the tracks that are more sparse and, well, like the start of this one, right? They fit into the overall picture. And again, going back to the idea of the hell is the name? Burime, the sort of, even if I remembered what the French word was, I wouldn't pronounce it correctly. But going back to that idea of having words given to you and then having to write a poem, a logical poem around those words. You can maybe see that here too, where maybe they had some ideas thrown out there. Maybe they had... It all fits together, even if on the surface it doesn't look like that, taken separately. So... So at times upbeat, very funky, very lively. At times almost just space with a little bit of music going on. This is all over the place. Yeah, it is. It's all over the place. I mean, that's why I don't really have it in a category this week. If you go to look for the link, it's just in other, because I don't really know what to do with it, and that's okay. I mean, if I had to label it musically, I would probably say it is jazz more than anything. It is just a very, very modern version of jazz that is not afraid to lean hard into other categories of music as well, especially electronic ones. So yeah, that is the group Kabul, and the album is Burime. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's a little bit, like I said, lo-fi beats to study to, or you just want maybe coffee house vibe, but like a really eclectic and super hipster coffee house, then this is the album for you, I guess. Okay, now we're moving on to the final category, which is pop and indie, and it is basically all pop. And honestly, the first two EPs here could probably be argued that they're rap or hip hop, but I'm going to put them in the pop category, and we're going to talk about that. So the first one is by an artist called PINQ, who typically would be considered a rapper. And the EP it's supposed to be a Chinese pronunciation. It's like XiE, how's it? XiE? I don't know. It doesn't, the Chinese X makes like a XiE, something like that. I don't know. Somebody who has more experience with practicing Chinese can say that, but I don't remember exactly what it means. Maybe hello, it doesn't matter. For most people, it's just XiE XiE. PINQ. Okay, so we're going to talk about this because lyrically, there is nothing here. Great album artwork, though. Very catchy album artwork. I will say the EP was written... part of it was written while the artist was in China. I don't know what he was doing there, if he was studying or just sort of on vacation or just living there for a while. But then when he returned to Russia, he finished writing. So I think the first 3 tracks were written in China, and then the final 1 or 2 were written after he returned. Lyrically, It's nothing special. There's actually some moments that are kind of cringy lyrically on that. But the reason I'm including this here is because the production, so good. It's just this hyper-futuristic pop rap. And it's the production. I listened to this thing multiple times. It's also like 10 minutes long, so that helps. But, oh yeah, XiE is thanks. That is right. But like, it's got this video game Saturday morning cartoon energy. So even though lyrically he's going with the rap thing, it screams pop music. Like, I don't know. It's just so, it's like bubblegum. So yeah, I mean, he is rapping, but goddamn, the production is just straight up. I mean, I probably should have just made a rap little one for this, but I don't really care. Those arpeggios, so good. So, I mean, the production on all of the tracks is just hyper produced. It kind of feels a little bit like K-pop too, right? Which, I mean, maybe that's the idea. Maybe there's like, I don't know anything about Chinese pop, but I would assume it probably has a similar sound. 8-bit Chinese electro. That's actually, yeah. Like, it doesn't even, I mean, there for sure are moments when you can tell, like, okay, yeah, he's rapping a little bit, but a lot of the modern rap does not actually really involve any, I mean, they don't sing, but they don't really rap very much either, so I'm always hesitant to really hardline them into the rap category. It's like, this is a pop song. A dance pop song at this point in time. The production, Jesus Christ, it's so good. I mean, musically, it fits the album artwork just perfectly. It feels like an anime in a lot of ways. I mean, this feels a bit more like the more modern hip-hop production, but so, yeah. I mean, yeah. Probably technically a rap album, but there's just so much. God damn the production. I love this. So this is one of those albums or EPs, I suppose, that I just put on multiple times, and it's just, I don't know, it just got like such a good, bouncy and fun energy to it. So yeah, the artist is PINQ, PINQ, and the EP is XiE. I don't know. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but yes, it's the Chinese word for thank you. So, yeah, really, again, just good, really, really great album artwork too. Very bright, very catchy, and it fits with the music incredibly well. All right, now we are on to another EP. This is the Blackout EP by J.ROUH and SENSEE. We've actually talked about both of these. Yeah, it will find its audience, but I think PINQ already has a little bit of his audience. We've talked about J.ROUH and SENSEE already this year. Both of them released albums between April and June, I'm pretty sure. I think both of them released in the second quarter. So, yeah, this is the two of them. They both, when they released their albums, SENSEE, I actually talked about his album in the pop and indie category, and J.ROUH I actually talked about in the rap and hip-hop, because while both of these artists are doing modern takes on the pop sound, J.ROUH, his sound is more informed by hip-hop, while SENSEE's sound is more of a sound collage of using every sound available at his disposal into some sort of, into a collage, a pop collage. But the two of them here bring both of their sound palettes and then throw electronic music in on top. And yeah, the 4 tracks right here, also really great album artwork again too. Even though that might be AI, it's hard to tell. Could be just a 3D printed type thing as well. Regardless, I would love to see a full length from the two of them together. I actually haven't listened to this for a few days, so also Saluki is here because, again, I feel like I don't intentionally go out looking for him, but I feel like I find at least one song with Saluki every single week, so.
Давай перейдем на ты. Мои крылья тоже не растут. Я говорю, slow down, ты так не умеешь, это правда, которую ты не веришь, если так надо. Улыбка под жаре, будто блокада. Давай перейдем на ты. Давай перейдем на ты.
Между нами планеты, континенты и страны, километры пустыни, ледяные фракталы. Я иду за деньгами, это все между нами.
Открываю шторы, уже утро. Выливаю строки, уже больше суток круто. Я иногда сдержаться не могу, так перейдем на ты.
There's a lot of the sort of modern pop rap energy here as well too, but
обеспечить, жизнь без выходных, но стало легко, 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 стало легко, 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 стало легко, легко, стало легко, жизнь без выходных, нос. Старался быть лучше, ныряй глубже, мой череп сейчас.
So again, yeah, like could it be one of those could be like modern rap or hip hop release? Yeah, but I mean, this ultimately, again, that's kind of the one problem that I run into a lot, not a lot, but relatively frequently when talking about these genre frames that I try to set up, which is that a lot of times nowadays, what one person considers rap, I don't really consider rap for various reasons, right? It's pop. They just aren't singing, they're rapping. But rapping as a vocal delivery style has, I mean, Jesus Christ, it was in nu metal 20 plus years ago, right? And nobody was just like, well, that's actually rap music because they're rapping there, you see? So. I think musically this is very much a pop music release. It's just informed by hip-hop and rap. And the fact that so many different ideas are being, like, the sort of soulful R&B or hip-hop sound is getting mixed in with, like, electronic break beats and hyper-pop distortion, but then you have these kind of, like, I don't know, repeated English vocals in the background. Like, it's not quite hyper-pop, but it's close. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, 20 years ago you tried to explain to somebody, like, you can actually put all of these styles together and everything will be fine. Would have sounded like madness, but it's always nice to hear when artists are able to do it, when they're able to bring so many different things to the table and combine it into something completely new and unexpected. So yeah, that is the EP Blackout by the artists J.ROUH and SENSEE. So that is not the top pick of the week, but we are going to be getting to the top pick just now. Okay, so that brings us to the top pick of the week, and this is I've looked at how to pronounce this so many times, and I'm still worried that I'm going to mispronounce it, but the artist is Sqwore, and the Sqwore, I think is, god damn it. Let me just double check. It's like Sqwore, god damn it. I should have had this open. I should have written this in my notes. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. I'm fumbling is what I'm doing, but I've been streaming too long. Give me a break. Okay. So, where is the pronunciation that I need so dearly, so badly? Nope, I'm not gonna be able to find it. I want to say it's like Sqwore. God damn it! I like literally. I should have put this in my notes. Anyway, I think it's like the SHQ. The Q is a Q, so Shku. It's Sqwore, and the album is Sqwore. God damn it, but it's 2025, and you have to have a ridiculous name. Anyway, this. What seemed like a flash in the pan back in the day with hyperpop has showed its longevity. In 2025, we're still talking about hyperpop when I think it first appeared. Most people thought it would just be a short-lived thing. But probably the reason that we are still talking about it is due to the fact that the genre has blurred so many rules. It doesn't really have any rules as a genre in the first place, and so it can just kind of adapt and mature and take whatever form it wants. This is Sqwore's 5th LP in as many years. I can't comment on how his sound has evolved, but just the output pace is quite impressive, and the quality on this album is top tier. This isn't music that I could listen to all day, every day, right? Kind of like the rave core sound or something like that. But I saw it described as the soundtrack of TikTok, and that's not quite right. This is the soundtrack of mindlessly doom scrolling and idealizing the recent past. That's what this feels like. It feels like terminally online music. Not necessarily in a bad way, but right? That's just 2025, and for a certain subset, especially a younger subset, that's what life is. The artist right here is diving into the resurgence in popularity of the indie sleaze style, which is the style which dominated MySpace and social media in the early 2000s, 2010s. So basically scene kids from back in the day. The music and the imagery, specifically the music though, but like a lot of the artists now are looking at that period of time, the early 2000s, early 2010s, the era of Tumblr and just sort of out of control pop aesthetics, which had kind of become cancerous in post 9/11 American's landscape, which was looking for direction in the new millennium after it had been kind of rudely awakened. Yeah, it's the sound from that throwback time of Crystal Castles as well. But yeah, let me just go ahead and put some of the music up. We'll kind of get into it. It's definitely got the what's it called too? The like the archive core sound as well. But it's definitely not rap. Yeah, it's like Sqwore. I've talked a few times so far this evening about music where there are so many things going on that should, again, that's hyperpop, right? If you've heard hyperpop before, then you're kind of familiar. But it really does feel like a deep fried meme run through TikTok, and then like, I don't know. There's just so many layers. There are like the old mixtape vocal sample. It feels like, and maybe that's what hyperpop artists are in a way. They are musical archaeologists from the Zoomer generation who are going back and exploring the depths of like early mass internet culture. So like the millennials, what they were doing, and the remnants of music and culture that they had there, because it's just right there at their fingertips and they can dig it up and they can find something interesting or find something cringe or find something laughable. But then they can take all of that and twist it up and reinterpret it and then spit it back out as this, because evidently even got this Glaive individual who is evidently a very large name in the hyperpop community in the United States. So trying to get to the Glaive part because kind of comes out of nowhere, but like this lyrically feels like the delivery is, it does feel like the kind of indie pop of the late 2000s. So again, with, I don't know, at least with the hyperpop that I've been encountering here in Russia this year, it feels like, yeah, just musically, electronically, everything, just mash it through. But it's that controlled chaos in the same way that Girl Talk, when doing mashups, was just so many things are going on at one time, and it's supposed to be overstimulating. Even the length of the songs kind of speaks to that, right? You know, what's the longest track here? 2 minutes and 12 seconds, right? The vast majority of them are 2 minutes or less, so. I also I want to highlight this one too because 1717 is an artist I actually they released an album I think at the start of the month, and so I now I understand why there was a little bit of hype around that album because evidently this little hyperpop community exists. So like again, like you can hear the core of that pop song here, but all of the components are just distorted or weird little snippets of this or that type of sound. So yeah, again, hyperpop is a very specific sound. It's something that I think realistically, if you, like it is with a lot of genres, if you listen to it too much, it just all kind of blurs into each other. But then you have artists like this who clearly know very well what they're doing, and they're able to take all of these wildly separate pieces and assemble them into something like somebody sitting down with a box of just random Lego pieces and no instructions, and then just building, I don't know, like some massive car out of it or whatever, right? I don't know, whatever, Legos. Anyway, so yeah, I have not heard Objektna Smeshk or MK Ultra, but yes, so yeah, anyway, Sqwore, so the artist is Sqwore, and the album is Sqwore, it's Sqwore. Yeah, that's the top pick. Just because it's wildly different, and it is actually, when you sit down and you get into it, it's catchy. I honestly had no idea what to expect going into this. But I suppose now looking at it and understanding it, it kind of does make sense. Not the best album artwork, but I can also kind of, there's like some sort of weird early 2000s aesthetic with the font and the weird like clouds and everything in there. But okay, so that is it. But I do have a request. I have a request for a song here. So let me go ahead, and I actually have Anlushka I pulled up, and I'm looking for the track Счастье, which is I'm assuming it's in this. No? Okay, hold up. Let me find Счастье. Yeah, Sqwore is a group that I had not really heard much of. All right, hold on. Let's find Счастье. Oh God, are we gonna have to go? Okay, hold on. Give me a second. God help us all. We're going to Yandex Music. Okay. No. Hey, there it was. Okay. All right, well, hold up. Let's oh, Jesus. Okay, I don't know. Kind of. Yeah. Well, this is I guess a good enough time for me to sort of once again highlight just how awful they have made this thing. You can't actually search by songs anymore, too. That's weird. We'll go with the live one for Zima.
Девочка, ниточку прочную, он убежит, не воротится, от него давит грудь, глыба бессонница, и заметает, падает.
Okay.
Заметает, падает. Заметает, падает. Зима.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was. So we kind of like got the black metal thing going on there. Guess it kind of makes sense with the album artwork a little bit. Does the regular version not have the black metal breakdown in it? Is that the big difference there, or maybe this is where things are gonna get wild? Oh, now we transition into I don't know what the walking baseline. Well, not quite walking. Sort of psychedelic guitar solo. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. When it starts out, it definitely has a lot of the, indie pop rock type of sound. But yeah, now we've wandered off into... I don't even know where we are right now. We're in kind of psych rock territory for a little bit, but I think we're still there. Okay. Yeah, not the direction you kind of expect that track to take from the start. So, not at all, in fact. Although there was Krustalik on their release in the late spring. I can't remember I can picture the album artwork. I cannot think of the name of the album. On one of their tracks too, about halfway through it, there was a random black metal turn as well. But yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to wait, I don't want to hit listen again. I'll have to check that out a little bit more. I'll have to dig into the artist a little bit more. in the future. That is quite interesting. And I do know, I did notice too that she had put out, God damn it, Yandex Music, a number of singles this year. Well, 1 single, 2 single, and then a live album. So it does feel like with the increase in musical output that maybe there is a full album on the way. So who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about her in the near future. But for now, that is that. And yeah, kind of, well, I mean, 14 albums. It was going to be a bit of a long one anyway this evening. So maybe not a huge surprise that it ended up being an hour and a half. But there it is. Yeah. Kind of an odd week, like I said, simply because the vast majority of the releases were EPs, but it was kind of a hectic week as it was. With this next week, I actually, even though next week we will be in September, tomorrow is Friday, and it is still August, and because the vast majority of the albums released during the course of a week are on Friday, we will still be talking about August music next week. So I have, I actually have some albums from earlier in the month too that I've been sitting on that I just like have not actually sat down and listened to a second time to actually get my thoughts out there. So I got some stuff to get on, and I have a week to do it. So I'll be back next Thursday, 10 p.m. Moscow time, as usual, for another roundup of whatever music has come out tomorrow, and then some other stuff from August I missed before we say goodbye to August music fully. Those are just the rules that I made up in my head, but I do try to stick to them. So as it is, yeah. And, you know, I do the news thing on Sunday and Wednesday evenings at 9 p.m. Moscow time too, but you're here for the music. So as it is, everyone have a good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it happens to be, wherever you are. Y'all take care of yourselves. I will see you when I see you. And until then, пока. I should probably hit the end button right about now. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see.